Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video we'll be test riding, or I will be test riding the Indian Sport Chief, and we'll be checking out El Rollo, which is the flat track racing. So right now we're going to the village, the village. I'll be taking my father's R9T, see that one right there, and my dad will go on the police bike. So see you there. Alright, so we hopped on our bikes and are on our way to the village. We actually later found out that that's not the place that you pick up the bikes, but it turns out that the Indian dealership is only 10 minutes away, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Now I'm going to be riding the Indian Sport Chief, and my father is going to ride the Indian Scout Rogue. Now when we planned this test ride, we kind of just winged it, to be honest, because Wheels and Waves on their Instagram page, they shared with us a link on which you can book your test rides. Now our French is not good, period. It's just pretty bad actually. So we just kind of winged it on the website. We were able to select the bikes that we wanted, a day and a time, and that's about it. So we weren't really sure what that test ride would entail. So when we showed up to the dealer, we actually found out that it's not a test ride in the sense of you just get the bike for an hour and do what you want, but it was actually a guided demo ride. And at first we were a little bit bummed about that because we were scared it was going to be one of those really slow, just putting along train rides. Very soon we found out that that's very much not the case. So as soon as we left, we found out that the guy just immediately took off, and just after a couple of seconds we already actually lost him. Which is definitely preferable compared to like a slow putting train ride type of feel, but we definitely had to ride faster than we would have if we were just to rent the bikes. So yeah, that was a little bit of a weird experience, but very happy that it was this way instead of the slow ride. So obviously I'm not going to review the bike, we only rode it for about 30 minutes. I feel like if you want to review a bike, you should at least ride it for a couple of days, but I'll definitely give you some of my impressions. So the seating position for me on the Sport Chief was a little bit awkward. I'm about 190 centimeters, so 6'2", 6'3", something along those lines. And the bike had mid controls, which meant that my knees were pretty high up. I don't necessarily really mind that, but because the bars were pretty low, that meant that I had to sit a bit hunched over or leaning forward, and with my knees that high, that felt a little bit awkward at times. So if I were to own this bike, I would definitely put some taller risers on it, or at least a different handlebar setup. Not really into forward controls myself. I don't really like that seating position, so I definitely would have raised the bars a little bit. Now, I do not very often ride modern bikes. Some people think that's a preference thing, but honestly it's mostly a financial thing. Good modern bikes are simply very expensive and unfortunately don't fit my budget yet. So one thing that I really had to get used to was the electronic throttle. I'm still very much used to a regular cable, so the delay in different ride modes definitely threw me off a bit. That being said, I was immediately able to ride the bike very smoothly, so I guess that different modes really do help with that. Because the ride was pretty short and we rode a lot harder than I expected we would, I actually wasn't able to try out the different modes, so I rode in the regular mode. I will say that the bike handled beautifully and felt very nice and torquey. So basically if you stick that bike in third gear, that's all you need. That's enough to go 20 k's an hour, but definitely also 120 k's an hour. And it definitely also handled very well without even being able to try the bike or get comfortable with the seating position or anything. It was very confidence inspiring, and I can imagine that after a couple of days of riding you can definitely do some serious canyon carving on this thing. The route that we took was pretty curvy and technical, and the bike did it like it was nothing, and it was definitely me, the rider, holding the bike back. So I would definitely love to try this bike out again and take it on a couple of longer rides. preferably with a different handlebar setup to see what this thing really can do. One thing that I also really want to say before I end this little rant is that the brakes on this bike are absolutely crazy. The rear brake on this bike is better than all the brakes combined on my police bike. And that's probably kind of obvious seeing how technology evolves and things like that, but I was very impressed by these brakes. I had to do some serious braking at times and I never really even touched the front brake and it stopped on a dime. So that felt really good and very confidence inspiring. And it was really nice to feel a bike that's very capable, not only in putting down power, but also taking away speed, which sometimes on this ride was very necessary. So yeah, all I can really say for now is that it's an awesome bike. It's pretty dang quick, handles very well, and like I said, I'm very impressed with those brakes. Really hope in the future I get to try it out again, maybe for a little longer. So if there's any budget left, maybe in the future I'll rent it for a day or two to truly experience what this bike can offer. Right, so the test ride is almost over, which means after that we'll immediately leave for El Rollo, which is the flat track racing event of Wheels and Waves, which is also unfortunately the last event. It's definitely one of my favorites, so let's go check it out.
Inappropriate category, please, group 1, group 2, please take on group 1954.
pretty sure I actually forgot to film an outro for at least one video, but probably more, so if you're seeing this twice, my bad. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, I hope you'll consider subscribing, and I hope to see you soon, whether it's at Wheels and Waves or back at home again. I'm not sure, but thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.